New detailed plot synopsis revealed for The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. Spoiler, the orcs get him. Yeah. I don't see the purpose of this other than, can we squeeze some more out of that? Yeah, well, an alleged detailed plot synopsis has been revealed for Andy Serkis's upcoming The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum film. Night Edge Media reports that the film will begin at the end of The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, where Gollum loses the ring to Bilbo Baggins and will end with the beginning of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So in case you were wondering, hey, what was he doing in between? Well, you're going to find out. Well, that is where it will begin and end. The bulk of the film will take place between Bilbo's disappearance at his birthday party and the formation of the Fellowship at Rivendell. What? It'll take place? But it's supposed to take place before that. Oh, they start doing flashback. Okay. Additionally, the report claims there will be flashbacks to a young Smeagol. Yeah. All right. Well, but we've already seen. Anyway, before the Fellowship, one creature's obsession holds the key to Middle-earth survival or its demise. It doesn't die. The good guys win, albeit by accident. But anyway, in The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, and we meet young Smeagol, an outsider drawn to trinkets and mischief, long before the One Ring consumed him and began his tragic descent into the tortured, deceitful creature Gollum. With the ring lost and carried away by Bilbo Baggins, Gollum finds himself compelled to leave his cave in search of it. Gandalf the Grey calls upon Aragorn, still known as the Ranger Strider, to track the elusive creature whose knowledge of the whereabouts of the ring could tip the balance toward the Dark Lord Sauron. Yeah, but I thought he became aware of the problem when he visited, Bilbo, and he realized Bilbo had the ring and all that. And so what would be the point of, and then Frodo gets it, and he says, "You don't give it to me, brother, Frodo." Oh. And then, they're off to the races then, So, I don't know. Does this really work? Anyway, set in the shadowed time between Bilbo's birthday disappearance and the Fellowship's formation, this perilous journey through Middle-earth's darkest corners reveals untold truth, tests the resolve of its future king, and explores the fractured soul and backstory of Gollum, one of Tolkien's most enigmatic characters. But the trilogy already did that. There's really nothing else. I don't know. This synopsis indicates that the film won't solely or even primarily be told from Gollum's point of view, which is what producer Philippa Boyens has previously said. Well, that still mostly can, I suppose. For example, Boyens told Empire back in October 2024, it's a specific chunk of incredible untold story, told through the perspective of this incredible creature. While it's a good thing that the film won't be entirely told through Gollum's point of view, it is still concerning that they are claiming the film will reveal untold truths, test the resolve of Aragorn, and explore Gollum's fractured soul. Well, Aragorn, he goes through his journey in the Lord of the Rings story, and he comes to realize that, he has to take the crown. And claiming to reveal untold truths sounds a whole lot like making things up. Yes, that's what they're doing, that are contrary to the source material. More than likely, it makes one think of what the Rings of Power did with Mithril. The show wholly invented an origin for the ore, claiming it was created after lightning struck a tree that contained the light of one of the lost Silmarils, after an elf poured all his light into the tree and a Balrog channeled all his darkness. The result was a new power described as pure and light, as good, as strong, and unyielding as evil. This power then seeps into the mountains and becomes mithril. Furthermore, the mithril is viewed as a physical way to prevent the elves from fading in Middle-earth. This is all in stark contrast to Tolkien's lore that depicts mithril as a simply natural ore mined by the dwarves in the Misty Mountains, an ore that has no magical origin or properties. Its only connection is that the ring, Ninya, was made from mithril. Hopefully this is not the case, and the untold truths are more about the great perils Aragorn faced tracking down Gollum after Gandalf and the Wood Elves lost Gollum's trail at the western edge of Mirkwood. Oh, well, there you go. There's your story. So anyway, as for the film exploring Gollum's fractured soul, well, this is something Serkis has made clear he wanted to explore, which he already did. And he told Deadline, Gollum has always stuck with me throughout all of these years. I've read audiobooks of the trilogy and the familiarity, and The Hobbit. So Tolkien's world has never left me in all that time since we did the first films. Yeah. And the character particularly has remained such an enormous part of my life. So it's absolutely thrilling to be able to go back and do a deep dive into his world again, specifically into Gollum's psychology. Yeah, but you risk damaging the good work already done. And his story has been told. Now, I don't think this is going to work. I know we're all interested in investigating on a deeper level who that character is. No, you did. And on top of that, to be able to direct and hopefully create a film which has its place within the canon, I don't know, but also something that's fresh, new, and a different approach. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, it's unclear what more this film could explore that was not already explored in Peter Jackson's films and Tolkien's novels. In fact, Tolkien wrote to Michael Straight in a letter, Gollum was pitiable, but he ended in persistent wickedness. And the fact that this worked good, that this worked good, it was no credit to him. Yeah, it's basically a dumb accident. He steals the ring, bites off, Frodo's finger, and then ends up falling into the lava, So his marvelous courage and endurance, as great as Frodo and Sam's or greater, being devoted to evil was portentous, but not honorable. I'm afraid, whatever our beliefs, we have to face the fact that there are persons who yield to temptation, reject their chances of nobility or salvation, and appear to be damnable. Yes, you can't save everybody. And such was the case of Gollum. Because, Frodo felt sorry for him and all that, but, wasting your time, Their damnability is not measurable in terms of the macroism, where it may work good. But we who are all in the same boat must not usurp the judge. The domination of the ring was much too strong for the mean soul of Smeagol, but he would have never had to endure it if he had not become a mean sort of thief before it crossed his path. Need it ever have crossed his path? Need anything dangerous ever cross any of our paths? A kind of answer, CD, could be found in trying to imagine Gollum overcoming temptation. The story would have been quite different. By temporizing, not fixing the still not wholly corrupt Smeagol will towards good in the debate in the slag hole, he weakened himself for the final chance when dawning love of Frodo was too easily withered by the jealousy of Sam before Shelob's lair. After that, he was lost. Yeah, he goes back to his foundations. He's, everyone has their chance. He blew it. So, more of that scene where he's talking to himself, about Frodo's a good guy. No, he wants your precious and all that sort of stuff. And he loses again. That was it. Him doing the same thing earlier before he meets Frodo and Sam and all that. What's the point? It's like there's a lot of movies where they'll shoot scenes and it's actually well performed and it's cool, and they end up realizing we're doing the same thing. We already have a scene that does this. And so they cut it out and it just becomes a deleted scene. It's like, it was so well done. I wish we could have, but it spoils the overall film because you're doing the same thing over again. Here you're going to do a whole movie to sandwich in between Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and it's like, yeah, I know. I know he's like that. I already saw his story. I really need to see when he went down to the corner store to get some, Red Bull and Doritos. No, I don't. Anyway, the temptation for Circus is clearly to try and present Gollum as misunderstood, as so many people in Hollywood tried to do with those who engage in sin. And that presentation downplays the grave evil that sin is. Yeah. I mean, it was up to Smeagol and Gollum. He chose this. He chose it. And you see the consequences. To try to reinforce, like, oh, the poor bastard, he was addicted to this stupid ring and it corrupted him and all that. Yeah, but at the outset, he wanted it to the point of murdering his friend for it. You say, well, that's the power of the ring too, Yeah, but he chose it. In contrast, Tolkien makes clear that Gollum chooses evil and he rejects his chances of nobility or salvation. In fact, in the Fellowship of the Ring, where J.R.R. Tolkien had Gandalf regaling the hunt for Gollum to Frodo, he noted that while the wood elves were tracking Gollum through Mirkwood, the woodmen said there was some new terror abroad, a ghost that drank blood. It climbed trees to find nests. It crept into holes to find the young. It slipped through windows to find cradles. If the hunt for Gollum honors the source material, it could be a good addition to Jackson's film. Otherwise, it risks being just another piece of cultural vandalization, in the vein of the Rings of Power or the War of Oh, yeah, I forgot about the cartoon, yeah. But yeah, see, this is the thing where it's about the hunt, but I don't know that you want to also retell the development of Aragorn. Just, it's like, well, it's more of the same, but you might flesh out some of the other characters, the woodsman and stuff like that. And then, Gollum is this monster who's running around, drinking blood and stuff. And that sort of thing, instead of just, oh, poor Gollum, I mean, I know he did bad things, but, oh, come on, look at that face. Aw. And we all have our bad days, don't we? And haven't you ever made a mistake? So who are we to judge, Well, I never murdered a friend over a ring, so I got that going for me. Anyway, I don't know. You keep chasing it because Lord of the Rings was so great and the trilogy was so successful and all that stuff. And you want to keep chasing it. But the odds are you're just going to damage it. You need to find something else.